Bienvenidos. Welcome to another video, all in English, for my non-Latino people coming to Medellín, expats, travelers, etc. Today's video is all about how much does it cost to live in Medellín. This is obviously one of the main questions that people ask when they want to come here because they know it's cheaper, but they want to know how much cheaper. Or in the case that you wanted to spend the same amount of money that you do back at home, what could you get here for that money? So also, I am publishing this video here in September of 2021. So these are going to be updated prices. I know that there is content out there on this exact same topic, but even a video from 3, 4, 5 years ago is not going to be what it is now, especially post-COVID, as post as we can be. I also want to point out that I am going over the cost of living. This is not the cost of traveling or visiting for like a week or two. And also these are prices that are applying to one person. So if you were a couple, you would just double it. Probably not quite double it, but you would have a little bit less because living together is cheaper, etc. So I have been living in Medellín for now over 4 years straight. I mean, if you don't count the 4 months that I spent in the States where I'm from for the pandemic because we didn't know if the world was gonna end. Yes, I've been here the entire time. Medellín is my home. I have to constantly tell people this because like it's not very normal that people my age from the States come here to just live permanently, like for many years. And I can say that definitively, like I'll be here for like 5 more years. At least I hope to. I mean, that's what my desire is. Before I get into the specifics, I want to also mention that the standard of living of what a Colombian is used to is definitely not going to be the standard of what an American or a Canadian or an Australian would be used to. So I'm not going to be like, yeah, you can come here and live off of $600, no problem, super easy. No, you could, but like it would be pretty difficult just because of what we are accustomed to back in our home countries. Does that make sense? So yes, there are Colombians that definitely make $600 a month, but they can get by because they live with their families that either own the home or they all pitch in for rent. I just want you to keep that in mind as well as we go over these numbers. So what I'm gonna do is explain this to you guys in 3 different budget lifestyles. The first one being the Bootstrap backpacker, the second one being the modern yet moderate, which is gonna be most of us, and then the live it up luxurious. If you have no concern in the world for money and you can just spend whatever you want. Like, what could you get here? I want to mention that, yes, like what is luxurious for the Colombian might be more modern standard for the American, etc. And I'm using American just because I'm from the States. So if you want to fast forward to the part in the video that covers your lifestyle budget, go right ahead. I'm gonna start with the Bootstrap backpacker and go through all of these expenses and then tally it up of what the total is in the end of what you could expect to pay. So in all the categories, we have accommodations, which is going to be one of the bigger expenses, one of the 2 bigger expenses, utilities, phone, food, which is the other major expense, transportation, medical insurance, entertainment, and then all other. And then this is just a note at the end. Keep in mind taxes, travel, and savings. I also want to mention very quickly with accommodations, if you are looking to come here for a month or longer and you need a place that's either furnished or unfurnished, contact me and I can help you out. I know the city really well, so I can help you find a fair and the best prices in the area that you're looking for. I also take 30-minute and 60-minute consultations for people who are looking to prepare for their trip here or just need help with managing the language and or cultural barriers. I know that sometimes with traveling to a new place or moving to a new country, there can be a lot of difficult, frustrating moments, and I just want to make sure that your trip goes as smoothly as possible and that you make the best out of your experience here. Also, I want to mention that for these conversions, I am using 3,600 pesos to the US dollar. So I'm sorry if you're watching this and you are in a country that is not the United States, but I'm from the States, so that's just my default. And also the exchange rate, even if you look it up and it's like 3,800 something, what really matters is the rate that you're getting from the remittance service that you use to transfer your dollars or other currency into pesos. So normally I use worldremit.com, and here is a code. It's also in the description, a link in the description for you to sign up and start using it, and you get $10 on your first transaction of over $100. I have used WorldRemit for many years. Other remittance services mark it as illegal or unallowed for you to send money to yourself, but with WorldRemit, it is 100% completely allowed. So I recommend you guys using WorldRemit, and there is my code for you guys. So also this exchange rate is very relevant because for past videos on how much does it cost to live in Medellin, that exchange rate was much lower. It was more around 3,200, 3,300 pesos to the dollar, and now it's much higher because of COVID. So, which is really good for people who make money in dollars and live here, but it's really bad for the locals here that depend on importing things like from the States or buying things from the States. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with the first budget, which is the Bootstrap backpacker. So this person could be a backpacker, an actual backpacker, or it could just be someone who is concerned with saving money. That's their main concern. So we're looking at like the cheapest way to get by, basically. And also, I'm just gonna be using dollars for this. Again, with that exchange rate. I should probably put it here. For the Bootstrap backpacker, we're talking for accommodations, we're talking about either a furnished room, potentially not in like the number 1 or number 2 neighborhood, but still a comfortable, fine neighborhood, or an unfurnished studio apartment, maybe 1 bedroom, maybe. This is gonna be approximately $140 to $200 per month. Again, this is just gonna be like basic, you know, bed, maybe a desk. You can still find places in nice neighborhoods for that price if you just need something basic. And that can also includes a price of what you could approximately spend per bed in a hostel. Okay, so the next expense of utilities. Utilities includes gas, water, and electricity. And per person, you could be spending nothing because it's included in your price of what you pay monthly for your room. But in the case that you were in like an unfurnished apartment, it would be anywhere between, I marked this as like 0 to 130,000 pesos. So that would be $36 is approximately 130,000 pesos. So I should also mention that utilities in Medellin depends on the strata you live in. Stratas are socioeconomic sectors of the city, and the state regulates those utility bills so that the people that live in the comunas, in the low-income housing areas, in the periphery of the city are not paying the same for basic needs as people who are millionaires, right? It's not gonna vary like a ton between 1 or 2 stratas, but yes, there's 0 all the way up to 6, so there is gonna be a big variation, like if you're in strata 1 versus strata 6. Actually, I think strata 0 is not. I think it's 1 to 6. I was also told that the phone bill also depends on strata, but it's not gonna be a huge disparity. So the phone bill, the cheapest, most basic plan that you can get per month if you like signed up for a yearly contract with Claro or Tigo or whatever would be $16. Okay, and then the next expense of food. This is gonna be the one that varies the most, obviously. But for the Bootstrap backpacker, this person doesn't have a special diet. This is gonna be mostly buying groceries, cooking at home, not eating out a lot. You're gonna be eating a lot of typical Colombian foods, which are the cheap foods. Arepas, huevos, arroz, frijoles, all that stuff. And also this does not include alcohol, which would be more like a recreational expense, or cigarettes, whatever. So I estimated this just off of my own basic knowledge of like what I eat when I'm poor for the month would be $300. That's what I estimated at, you know, not eating anything special, not eating out often for a whole month. You can totally do that. There are tons of Colombians that ate way less on that, way less than that, sorry. The next expense of transportation. So it's approximately like 65 to 70 cents per bus ride and or metro ride. With that in mind, let's say that as the Bootstrap backpacker, you're walking a lot, you are using the bus and the metro. Hardly any taxis, right? I didn't even include taxis. So approximately if you were to take 10 rides in a month on the bus and or metro, times 10 would be $6.50. And I just chalked that up to $10, like if you were to take a taxi, right? Okay, so $10. And then for medical, you are not paying anything because you're poor and it is cheap to pay out of pocket anyways if you are in an emergency. So $0. Okay, cool. And then, you know, you're still a human being, you like to have entertainment, so maybe you go to the movies once a month with popcorn. This would be $10. I'm putting a budget of $10 for entertainment a month. That's like to go to a movie with popcorn and soda for once a month. For example, or it could be whatever. It could be like some other event, or you go bowling or whatever. And then for other, I included like, this would be shopping, if you go to a gym membership, if you have a maid, which is very common here and very cheap, like once a week or something like that. Any other extracurricular expenses. So I put here $20. That would include like going out for beers with your friends. Maybe you do the Comuna 13 tour. Maybe you buy a hat or a shirt or something like that. But again, all of this, you know what this comes out to, guys? So when I added this up, this all came out to $624. So as you can see, it's totally possible to live off of less than $1,000 a month. Is it preferable? And are you gonna like it? Probably not. But I'm just demonstrating here that it is very possible, and again, millions of people here live off of even less. So if something, you know, went wrong in your job or your finances, you could very easily be saving month to month so that if you had to live like a Bootstrap backpacker for a month, like you would still be okay. But again, this is for the person that is very low maintenance, no Netflix, no hair, makeup, nails, budget, no weekend getaways, no concert expenses, you know, you get the picture. But again, you're probably gonna wanna chalk that up just because you're probably gonna have to be paying taxes somewhere, with whatever you're doing, with whatever job you have. And then that also doesn't include like travel, if you are flying back and forth, right? Keeping in mind that yes, this lifestyle is possible, but it's not preferable. This leads me to my next lifestyle budget here, which is gonna be most of us, right? Like modern yet moderate. We're not like millionaires here, but like we don't make peanuts. So with this lifestyle budget, this person is mostly concerned with living comfortably and safely, but within their means. Again, gonna be most people. But this is going to be the budget that has the largest disparities, because starting with accommodations here, this could mean a nicer furnished room in a great neighborhood of Medellín, or an unfurnished 1 or 2 bedroom, all the way up to a furnished 1 or 2 bedroom. And I'll say 2 as the max bedrooms, because 3 or more is kind of like family and larger expenses. Okay, so that's gonna vary a whole lot versus, you know, from all the way from a furnished room all the way to a 2-bedroom furnished full apartment. So keeping that in mind, this one's gonna have like 2 on the lower end and then on the higher end, but you can tell that, you know, based off of what you make, where more or less like you'll fall. So I estimated these accommodations, again, these are like great disparities, but at the lower end, you would be paying like $200 and then all the way up to around $750 for a furnished 2-bedroom in a nice area of Medellín, something like this. Or in the case that you were here, you know, long term, maybe you took a teaching job with a local like school or something and you're looking for an unfurnished apartment, you could also find very, very affordable, nice 1 to 2 bedrooms, something like this. But if you're on the lower end and you have the money to spend, but you don't want a whole place to yourself, you can get a really nice furnished bedroom, something like this, in a very nice neighborhood, either Laureles or Poblado. But don't think that you can't find even nicer apartments, same size, but nicer, maybe with like more modern amenities. I should also mention that here in Medellín, it is And in Latin America in general, it's not very common to find some of the higher technologies that we are accustomed to in the States, such as a dishwasher or a dryer or an automatic like ice machine in the fridge. Those things you definitely will not find here. And if your apartment has that, it has a much higher value than one that doesn't, because they're not common. The next expense of utilities is also going to vary quite a bit. And this is going to be like based on stratas. So I estimated it to be $36 to $100 per person for utilities. Again, gas, water, electricity. The phone is not or the internet. You guys never got the internet, I'm sorry. I didn't even put a spot for it. Let's just do this. I put internet right next to the phone. And this was supposed to be $10 for the Bootstrap backpacker, sorry. Phone bill, approximately, for the moderate budget is gonna be $18 to $22. And the phone bill, $13 to $17. Okay. It's in there now. Sorry about that, I forgot internet. That's kind of important. So apparently the internet is also one of those expenses that is regulated by the state. What is shown on the Tigo, for instance, I use Tigo, so these are the different packages that they have. These prices are what you would find for like strata 4. Like an average. But again, it's like really not gonna vary a whole lot if you live in 5 or 6. So that's where like these numbers are coming from. Okay, moving right along. So the next big expense of food, again, is gonna vary a whole lot, but I am going to assume that this person who has the money to is gonna be eating out maybe once or twice a week or ordering in. Using Rappi or iFood. I use those too. Or maybe you have a special diet or a special allergy, whatever. I estimated this to be between $400 and $500 a month. Cool, right? Next expense of transportation. This person is going to be using taxis, every so often, maybe, using the bus every so often. I estimated this budget to be, I overestimated actually with like all these numbers slightly. I estimated the transportation budget to be $50. That would be like if you were to take 3 taxis per week and 3 buses per week, with each taxi ride approximating $3.50. Taxis are very, very cheap here as well. If you were to take a taxi between the 2 most gringo or like developed neighborhoods, the ones that a lot of expats and travelers live in, which would be Laureles and Poblado. I live in Laureles, so if I was to take a taxi to Poblado, it's gonna cost me like $3.50, maximum $4. I don't think I have ever taken a taxi more than $8 in the whole city. If you were going from one end of the city to the other and it takes like an hour and a half, like yeah, maybe you'd spend like $10 or $12. But that's what I love about the city too, is that it's not the level of traffic of the major capital cities of Latin America, Mexico City, Bogota, Lima. It's manageable. I mean, yes, there are moments of high traffic because it's the peak hour, la hora pica, and there's traffic jams or whatever. But it just doesn't compare to like what people have to go through when they live in big cities. And they're literally in traffic for like 2 hours or 3 hours just to get home. So that's what I love about Medellín, aside from like these cheap prices, right? So for the next expense of medical, I'm gonna put this as between $0 and $100 per month, and I'll explain why. So considering it is so cheap to pay out of pocket for procedures, appointments, even surgeries, a lot of people here that live here who are expats, travelers, they don't have health insurance. Medical tourism is a thing here, and people come here to save money because it's so cheap. So that's why like the $0. But if you were to spend money on like a third-party global insurance provider or something, you could expect to pay somewhere around $100 per month. And that would be, private, the best facilities here. I will be doing a video specifically on this in the future with someone who knows a lot about it, because it is a question that gets asked a lot too. If you're gonna be here long term, if you can buy the local health insurance that Colombians use or not. But this is like a topic I want to dive into with somebody who knows a lot more about it, because again, it is going to be an expense that varies depending on your age and a whole bunch of other factors. But if you guys do prefer to get private health insurance from a third-party provider, a global health insurance provider, I've partnered with World Nomads. and you can click the link in the description to get your free quote and purchase a plan if that is your plan. So the next expense of entertainment. I estimated this as $25 to $60 per month, and let me explain why. Okay, so I hate to say this, but I do feel like this expense, living here, may depend on your gender. Because coming here, gender roles are very different, right? Automatically. And it is more customary for the man to be paying for the woman more often and more money dishing out. So I hate to say this, you know, but like if you're a single guy and like you're gonna go out with your friends, with some girls, like you should be expecting to pay everything. That's just custom. That's just culture, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, like, could you pay your part? But it's not gonna land well with like the Colombian woman who's more accustomed to the man paying. So that's a cultural thing that like I'm gonna get into a video in the future of like dating and what that's like here with all of these like different gender norms, right? But that might change your budget of entertainment. And then for the other, again, I'm like overestimating. This could be between $40 and $80 a month. Again, if you're living on this moderate budget, you could be having a maid come once a month. You could be paying for a gym membership, maybe not a personal trainer, but like the gym membership, shopping expenses, clothes, etc. It's like starting to rain, guys, and my house is like on the top floor, so pause. Okay. Stop raining. Sometimes it rains here and it's completely sunny and you're like, I don't understand what is going on. Okay, we're back after like 20 minutes of waiting. Okay. Okay, I'm officially back. So as a total for this budget lifestyle, modern yet moderate, on the lower end, it would be $782. And on the higher end, it would be $1,679. Those are exact numbers from what I added up. So for this lower number, it would be something like a furnished room in a nice area. And then this higher number is gonna be like a full-on furnished entire apartment. So anywhere between that, and again, like $1,000 falls right in the middle of that. So you can expect to live very comfortably off of $1,000 here a month. That I can attest to. So again, if you're looking at this and you're like, oh my God, like that's so crazy, it's so low. Yes, it is very cheap to live here from what we expect to pay in rent and living costs in more developed countries like the UK or the States, Australia, Canada, etc. And I even did some research because I wanted to know myself what the actual cost of an approximate cost of a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment in the US today. And this is the information that I found. If you average what the average cost of a 1-bedroom apartment and a 2-bedroom apartment is, you get $1,030.50 just on rent. And with that money, you can pay for everything, all living expenses here in Medellín, Colombia, very easily. So imagine, you know, coming here and actually making what you make back in the States. If you were to spend, you know, a few months here, you could easily put 20 to 30% of what you are making into savings or to pay off debt, right? It doesn't sound like a bad idea, given that you have like an online business or you're a digital nomad or can work from abroad. So considering just how cheap it is to live here, I want to give you guys a sense of how much you would be spending if you were living an American standard luxury lifestyle, which is this last one. This is the live it up luxurious budget lifestyle. I'm just gonna go through this really quickly. So my estimates for accommodation here were $750 a month all the way up to $2,000, but obviously like you could find more. More expensive, obviously. But per month, if you were paying, this is defined luxurious. This would mean doorman, jacuzzi, pool, dryer, all of the modern amenities you'd find in an American home, and it would be furnished. View, AC, etc. For utilities, I definitely overestimated with this, but in the highest tax bracket, you're still not gonna be paying like hundreds of dollars because we're still in Medellín, Colombia. So I estimated this to be anywhere between $100 and $138 for utility per person on a luxurious lifestyle. But again, I'm totally overestimating this because I don't live this lifestyle, so I would have really no idea what somebody who lives that kind of lifestyle would pay for utilities here. But again, this is Colombia, so you're not gonna be paying as much. Internet and phone are both $28 for each one. $28 for the internet, that's gonna be like the fastest, largest packet that you could buy. Again, from Tigo, I'm just taking those numbers right from the internet, as well as phone for Claro. I use the company Claro for my phone, and then I have Tigo internet. So for the food, this person on a luxurious lifestyle budget is gonna be eating out often, fine dining, maybe they have somebody who actually cooks for them, like a private chef. You're buying high-end products that are like imported, maybe hard to find, so they're gonna be more expensive. I estimated this budget to be a mere $800, but that's a lot of money for a food budget here in Colombia, only $800. The next one would be transportation. I'm assuming this person is taking taxis everywhere all the time, you know, private, maybe they even have like their private driver or something like that. I estimated like $675 per day for the whole month, every single day. Taxis there and back, wherever you're going. And that came out to $200 a month. And again, like this is pushing it. Like as I was trying to think of like how much, you know, you would buy, like you're not necessarily gonna take a taxi every single day. So that's overestimating even. And then for the next expensive medical, I'm keeping it the same between $0 and $100 as the moderate lifestyle, just because when you're living it up luxuriously, you know, you can pay out of pocket for any medical procedure or surgery or appointment you need, you know? So either $0 or $100 per month. The next expensive entertainment, I budgeted $330. This would be anything for fun. Covers to clubs, bottles, tours, weekend getaways, all of the luxurious things that you might spend in a month if you had all the money in the world. And then for everything else, I budgeted $550. So this would include gym membership with a personal trainer, maybe you have a nutritionist, maybe you get a bi-weekly massage, hair, makeup, whatever, shopping, all of that. I, again, overestimated around $550. Okay, so this budget, again, on the lower end, comes out to $2,786. Okay, that's like the lower end of a luxurious lifestyle. And then on the high end, $4,174. But again, like there are people that make way more and spend way more. Again, like I don't live this kind of luxury lifestyle, so like there are probably expenses that I'm not even thinking about because I don't like live like that. So, and of course, like this doesn't include, again, the taxes, savings, travel, airfare, personal VA, business expenses, like all of that does not include that. Now, I could be off on some of these numbers just because I myself do not live this kind of lifestyle. One day, I'm not there yet, but I will be. So if any of you that do think you spend around this amount per month know better and want to correct me, go right ahead in the comments. Like I will not be an expert on how much the rich people pay for their utilities and personal expenses. So as you can see here, the cost of living here in Medellín is so very comfortable, which appeals to so many people that live in places like the States or in Europe where costs are so much higher. So not just for living purposes, but for businesses as well, or people that want to retire. A lot of people come here to retire. So since it's 4 times cheaper, nearly 4 times cheaper to live here than it is in the United States, the standards for what is modern living and luxurious living are gonna vary between Americans and Colombians, which in our case, for Americans, we can get more for less. So I hope that with this video, I have helped, give you a little bit more confidence with your decision to come visit or even move here. Again, I am here helping you guys with these videos, but keep in mind that I can work with you on a more personal level if you need that. I've actually set up a Calendly appointment booking on my website, lagringalatina.com, and you can book in a slot for me there. But I can tell you that no matter what lifestyle you have, coming here will be so worth it. It is so worth it. Please subscribe so that you are notified of all the future topics that I will be covering, such as things to do in Medellín, dating for both Colombians and Americans, females and males, different visas, how to stay here, why people end up leaving Medellín, and so much more. So thank you so much, guys, for sticking around and watching. Please share this with somebody that you know wants to visit Medellín. I know you know somebody that is at least intrigued. Besos, abrazos, muchas gracias, chicos, y nos vemos en el próximo. Chao.